15%, you guys should, this is not on this ClearSky portal yet, but I will eventually get to it. 15%, right? The challenge level is too low. Students may feel successful, but real growth stalls, right? They've got the technique, but now all that growth is going to stall out because it's too easy. Not enough stress, adaptation, or problem solving is happening at under 15%. Over 30% too hard, the student's confidence and motivation can drop. Right now, I suck. I don't even know how to do this technique. I thought I did, right? You're killing them. They may default to bad habits or just go to survival mode. We see people, right, flailing and just, and that's where, sometimes somebody gets hurt because they're just went into survival mode because the training now just got too hard. They just lost everything. And that it's just terrible for them. They've got nothing good. We'll see people's legs straight in the trap and roll reference. Like they're just now flailing because they're just in survival mode. They don't have their training built up enough just to be in a good cover defense, make sure their heels are in when that trap and roll and the bucking is available, that they can do it. The brain may associate failure with the technique itself, not with the execution and improvement. All right. This range supports neuroplasticity and motor learning, problem solving, and progressive realism. So there's a whole bunch more on here that you guys can read on those if you want to delve more into it. I don't want to spend too much more time on this discussion on it. But do you guys have any more on just this basic one for failure rates, which I think it's good? And we always say, hey, it's too easy, too hard, really kind of giving you guys some definite stuff and some stuff that you can reference to students as well of, some of this stuff. We'll be putting on the belt testing quizzes, tests, and that you have this reference that they go through their basic training on the portal, and this will be there, and they can have that reference and look at it themselves. We don't need to go too crazy into it in a class every once in a while, but sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it's referencing them to that curriculum that's on the portal. Like, go check it out, read it, come back with questions maybe, but give them some homework. Go check it out, get on there, and read a little bit more. But just that basic visual, I stuck it up over there. It's probably off here, but that you can reference to them. Like, guys, you're going too hard. Anything there? Anything while we're in a quick huddle up on coaching, anything like that?
That just kind of made me think of the whole, which applies to everything, but the class dynamic. Like if you have several groups of 2, for example, and you just might have to kind of monitor them in relation to this concept and say, this guy over here is never letting his partner succeed in a technique, whereas they seem to have a pretty good flow. So it might just be taking a little time to go.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to separate and not bore the rest of your class with what you said yesterday, or you feel like they have a good understanding. Sometimes people will start to listen, and if they want to listen, sometimes I'm like, hey, this isn't for you guys. I think you guys are good. If you guys want to listen again, that's fine. I'll say that all the time, but I'll try to hit just 2 people. Just the other day, Jordy had 3 new people, and I knew one of them was a little gung-ho. And in the whole lesson, he just missed being safe with that wrist and making sure and checking your partner. So I went over there because he's got 3 different groups going on and going, hey, make sure you guys are not getting too fast and we don't tweak somebody's wrist on trap and roll, and going too fast there as beginners. All right, that whole, let's start off this technique at 0 to 20 speed wise, that can help, curb people. Beginners, it's tough anyways. Their 20% is 100%. They're trying that technique super fast. So, you've got to sometimes just, monitor one group and go, oh, let me get over here and get there. You know, I might have done that myself. I was worried about one of the students like tweaking another one. So I just went over there as kind of like assistant instructor and making sure, you know, as you might have gone over there real quick and gone, okay, hey, for you guys, I just want to spend one more minute with you guys and remind you, you got to check your partner, because if their hand is out to the side, you know, you can snap a finger, all right, injure the wrist. So make sure and give that little check. You know, that's sometimes upper belts I see. You're not even like, give a little check when you're drilling it. And, you know, even sometimes slowing it down when we are going a little bit fast and checking that beginner that you're not going super fast, because you're going, hey, this guy's an orange belt. Are they in a good position? Probably not. And you're just being an upper belt and protecting them. All right, better to slow your technique down than get, you know, too carried away and hurt somebody. But easy to forget, right? Easy to forget when you're going and you're, you know, you're free grappling and you got a technique and, you know, you go too fast on somebody.
Coach, I have a question. I heard from 2 students in the night class that there is a white belt, maybe he's yellow belt, that he's constantly correcting them, and it's getting them very annoyed. And like, how do we address that? Because when they partner with this guy, he's like, no, that's not how you do it. No, do it again. No, and they're like, this guy's not the coach. Like, so how do we?
As the coach on the floor.
What?
You're addressing it as the coach on the floor.
Right.
As the coach on the floor, I was just saying this the other day to somebody. Look, there's one cook in the kitchen, and that's me. Right? I'm coaching. Can you let them work on what we just did? You know, sometimes it can be a discussion with that person aside, like, hey, you're getting a lot of, you know, coaching. I'm the coach on the floor. Can you just let the people work on what I just said instead of now correcting? Sometimes I tell the other students to tell them, hey, I'm not paying you. Can you please just let me work on what the coach did? Sometimes that can work better than the coach coming over, is just telling the students to go, hey, I don't really want your corrections. I appreciate it, you know, but I'm just trying to work on what the coach is working on. Can you just let me process it? Sometimes these people are helpful. Sometimes, right, you know, for whatever reason, you know, maybe it's their ego thinking like, I'm better than everybody else and I'm going to show you how to do it. It's tough, but those are my 2 go-to. I mean, I come over to people and they're still correcting. I'm like, hey, please stop. You know, I tell the little kids, if you want to coach, then, you know, get first and last in security deposit and go open your own gym. You know, I'm coaching. Stop talking. I'm trying to coach. If you would like to open your own gym, or if you would like to go through the instructor program, let me know. You know, I tell the little kid, you got to be here at 6 a.m. And they're like, what? I'm not becoming a coach. 6 a.m. Not going to show up for that. But it's tough. You know, some people mean well, but some people it just becomes annoying.
Yeah, and I think he's a white belt. That's what they were telling me. Like, he's not even, if he was an upper belt, you'll think that he's as low as the other ones are.
Yeah, and sometimes upper belts are correcting even. You're like, oh, they're a green belt. And sometimes they're focusing on what I'm not even concerned about for that level student. They're trying to fix something cool, and I'm just trying to work on their footwork. Let's start with their foundation and build up, and I'm trying to work with the fundamentals, and that person is trying to go, oh, you got to get this, and you got to get that. And, like, no, they don't. So I just, you know, Jordy and I were talking about it on Thursday, going sometimes, yeah, I'd be like, hey, I'm coaching. Stop coaching. I've got the class. If I need help, let me know. Or, you know, if they got a big ego, hey, if you'd like to become a coach, talk to John. But I'm the coach and I'm going to get in trouble. You know, if it's any of you on the floor, hey, John's not going to be happy with me that I'm letting you run the show and starting coaching in my class. Like, that can be tough. And that can be tough for all of you. You got an upper belt in your class, and sometimes you might say, hey, anything, and just, you know, it's good respect, but then, holy crap, now the upper belt gives you a whole bunch of stuff. And now we've just turned it into a conversation like this, and the students haven't done anything because we were just talking about a technique, which is good. But I'll see that. Hey, do you got anything to add, Ben? And Ben's like, oh yeah, here's a couple other things. Here's all my things on this technique. And you just spent way too long on it. Like, hey, wrap it up. Wrap it up. You know, Thursday I went, nope. Hey, it's a couple red belts helping some white belt women. That's great. They're all coaches. That's good. Just leave it, Jordy. Like, you know, you had a smaller percentage to work with yourself, but you know, hey, that's a good group over there coaching, and they could be assigned anyways as women only. Let them work it. It's not like it's some orange belt women telling these white belt women what to do and helping them through the technique. So failure's good, guys. Failure's good. Too much failure, right, just beats everybody up is kind of the plain simple thing. But, you know, there's a lot to, you know, too easy training. You know, too easy is really bad. And I do unfortunately see a lot of too easy too. You know, you guys, like, we all know, like, oh, somebody's going too hard. But man, that too easy is just as bad. Right? It is just as bad. It's too feel good. And you guys don't know I don't like feel good. So error on failure. You know, they fail every time. No. But, you know, I'd rather see it closer to the 30% than the 15%. But, you know, really, truly try to keep it in the middle. Really, really honestly. But, you know, when in doubt, you know, give it a little bit. Was it too easy? You know, were they getting that too easily? Should I offer it a little bit more resistance?